Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, yes, today we learned about how to deal with class components in React. So, we discussed about all the concepts of class components, including controlled class components. Controlled class components means how to handle the properties. How do we deal with properties in components? And we learned about component life cycle. Component life cycle also we discussed. Actually, component life cycle, I explained several layers of that. And what are the main phases? We have a mount phase, we have an update phase, and we have an unmount. These are the phases. And what are the methods involved in them also I explained how component life cycle works. And in every phase, what actions are performed, we discussed those points. Generally for interviews, in every phase, what activities are performed are important. You need to remember those points. When data binding works, when events will trigger, when state is initialized, all such points are important. Now, once we know this, how to handle, now we are going to learn about TypeScript. Today we are going to understand the concept of TypeScript. So we need to learn how to build a React application with TypeScript. But for TypeScript, we need to learn the language first, then you can implement TypeScript in our projects. So what is concept of TypeScript and why we need this? One important point we need to know. Actually, what is the concept of TypeScript to understand? First, we need to know one important question is what are the issues with the JavaScript? So what are the issues with JavaScript? Issues with JavaScript means what are the drawbacks of JavaScript? What are the problems in JavaScript as a language? So the problems in JavaScript as a language, when you learn JavaScript, what drawbacks you learned? Some important problems you learned. JavaScript, it is not strongly typed. JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. You learned these drawbacks now. When we know JavaScript related important issues, you already know that JavaScript is not strongly typed language. Another, it is not implicitly strictly typed. It is not strongly typed. It is not strictly typed implicitly. JavaScript basics will teach you this first. Right? When you started learning JavaScript, you started learning with this point. What is the difference between strongly typed and strictly typed? Strongly typed is about data types. Strictly typed is about the rules. So JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. That means there is no data type restriction. So you can store any type of data in a memory. There is no restriction for data type. Generally, many programming languages they are strongly typed. Integer X, so you can store only integer. String Y, you can store only string. But in JavaScript, you can store anything. There is no restriction for data type. That is what we call as not strongly typed. And you know JavaScript is not implicitly strictly typed. How to turn on strict mode? Use strict. By using use strict, you have to explicitly turn on the strict mode. These two basic things you already know. What is another drawback? It is not strongly typed, it is not strictly typed. So it is not an OOP language. It is not an OOP language. So it supports only some features of OOPs, but it is not a complete OOP language. So it have limited extensibility and code level security. It have limited extensibility and code level security. It will not support complete dynamic polymorphism. So it will not support code level security completely. So JavaScript as a language, the major drawbacks are these. So it is not strongly typed, it is not strictly typed, it is not an OOP language. And if it is not an OOP language, limited extensibility and code level security will be there. These are major issues with JavaScript. So what is the problem with JavaScript is for a developer, this all becomes drawback when building one application. That is the reason to overcome these issues, to overcome the problems of JavaScript. We are looking for another language similar to JavaScript, but it can handle all the issues. Actually, JavaScript is the only language understandable to browser. Browser cannot understand other languages. It cannot translate also. JavaScript is the only language that is recognized by a browser. But it is not great for developers in all situations. Actually, to overcome the problems of JavaScript, what happened is to overcome the problems of JavaScript, we have I'll run this here. Right. So some problem is there here. Show me. Okay, fine. Yep. So actually, to handle the issues in JavaScript, these people who are those Google started a language called, they started a language called TypeScript. They started a language called TypeScript. So Google actually started this language TypeScript to replace JavaScript. That means to overcome the problems of JavaScript, they designed this TypeScript. Why they designed this TypeScript is, they designed this TypeScript for their technology called AngularJS. For AngularJS, they need to use JavaScript, and JavaScript have a lot of issues. And to overcome that problem, they started developing a language called TypeScript. And when they were developing this TypeScript as a language, suddenly uh, Microsoft saw that Google is trying some new language. That means Google are trying to develop one new language in the place of JavaScript. But Microsoft already developed it. Microsoft saw that Google is trying some new language, and Microsoft already have a solution for that. They already developed a language, and they developed the language called TypeScript, and they already have that language in their technology. And they suddenly saw that Google is also trying same to that. Then they asked Google that why you are trying this new language? We already have that language. Then what Google done is, Google stopped this TypeScript and they taken this TypeScript for Angular. That means Google saw that Microsoft already have that and they are trying that. Microsoft already have that language, but they were internally using it. It is not publicly available. So that means it is not globally available for all developers to use. So Google saw that TypeScript is the same what they are trying. Then Google stopped that TypeScript and they replaced Angular with TypeScript. And from there, TypeScript became popular. And TypeScript was not open source and it is not available to all. Then when Google started using this TypeScript as a language, then Microsoft made it as open source. So world came to know about TypeScript from Angular because Google started using that language for Angular. But it was there before Angular was there, but it was not publicly available. It was invented by Microsoft and it is used in the place of JavaScript. Now, what are the points about that? Means if TypeScript is not there, then Google might have tried its language TypeScript. They officially announced at that time in 2014. In 2014, they officially announced that we are coming with a new language called TypeScript, but suddenly they stopped it. Why? Because they have a replacement for that. They have a new language in place of TypeScript. And what is that language? TypeScript. Now, what is the speciality of TypeScript is actually what is the solution for this problem is, the major point here is TypeScript is strictly typed. TypeScript is strictly typed version of JavaScript. Means in simple terms, TypeScript is strictly typed version of JavaScript. It is strictly typed version of JavaScript. JavaScript is not strictly typed. Internally, it is not strictly typed. Explicitly, we have to make strictly typed by using use strict, but TypeScript is strictly typed JavaScript. And what is specialty about TypeScript here is actually it is strongly typed. It is a strongly typed language. It, uh, it is an OOP language. It supports object-oriented programming and it supports all the features of object-oriented programming. Then actually, if it is object-oriented programming means it supports all features of OOPs. Then doubt will come like, then why can't we use a perfect OOP language like Java or C++? Why TypeScript? Suppose if developers are looking for a perfect OOP language and strongly typed language, why TypeScript to be chosen? Why not Java? Actually, for building mobile apps, Android, iOS applications, we need a OOP language. And those people use Java. Those people use Android, iOS uses Java as a language because they need OOP features. Then why not these technologies also use a OOP language like C++ or Java like language? Why they have to go with a new OOP language? What are the drawbacks of OOPs? I explained already while working with classes. What are the drawbacks of OOPs? I already explained the drawbacks of object-oriented programming. Na? What are those? I told you that object-oriented programming requires more memory. They are heavy, tedious. I explained those points. What is they cannot directly interact with hardware. They don't support low-level features. These drawbacks I explained. But speciality of TypeScript is actually TypeScript is built with TypeScript. TypeScript is built with TypeScript. It is designed with TypeScript. Your Java or .NET or other languages are built with other languages. So for example, Java is a language. That Java language borrows the features from. Actually, Java is a language and the Java language borrows the features from. It borrows the features from C++. C Sharp is another popular language of OOP. It borrows the features from Delphi. Delphi is very popular OOP language. And Java, C++, these all people, Java and C Sharp, all these people borrow from Delphi and C++. You may not know about these two, but these two are very popular in object-oriented programming. These Java and C Sharp, these borrow features from them. They are built with those features. But what is speciality of TypeScript? TypeScript is built with TypeScript. It is built with TypeScript. That means TypeScript is a language which can directly interact with operating system. It can directly interact with hardware. It supports low-level features. So it is better than other OOP languages in terms of communication with hardware and operating system. Other OOP languages cannot directly interact with hardware. They cannot directly interact with operating system services. So technically, what is the advantage? TypeScript is built with TypeScript. So what is the specialty? It supports low-level features. So it can directly interact with hardware services. Hardware services. It uses less memory and faster. When compared to other OOP languages, TypeScript is one language which have these abilities. And remember, TypeScript is not only for Angular or React. TypeScript is a language. Individually, it can build large scale apps. That means because you are using TypeScript with React or Angular, don't think that TypeScript is designed for them. TypeScript individually can build large scale applications equivalent to Java. That means TypeScript can build large scale applications. It can build large scale applications. It can build large scale applications, but you are not going to learn complete TypeScript for building apps. You are going to learn TypeScript only for web. That means for web applications. In place of JavaScript, what TypeScript related features are required, only those you are going to learn. Because if you have to learn TypeScript as a language separately, just you need to learn like Java or like C#. That means it is huge. It has a lot of features inside. It is used for building large scale applications. You are not learning TypeScript individually for large scale applications. You are learning for web. So you are going to learn only the features that are required for web. What JavaScript is doing, the same thing we are trying with TypeScript. Don't think that TypeScript is equal to JavaScript. It is more than Java also. TypeScript is individually more than Java-like language. It has a lot of abilities. It builds operating system. It controls compiling system. It builds compilers. TypeScript is a language used by Microsoft to build even compilers for a language. As I told you, TypeScript is built with TypeScript. TypeScript compilers also built in TypeScript. That is the specialty of TypeScript. Whereas other languages have to depend on other languages for building their compiling systems and all. So TypeScript is very huge. TypeScript is very huge. Now we are learning TypeScript for web. And actually, so Anders Hazelberg. Anders Hazelberg of Microsoft is the architect of TypeScript language. Anders Hazelberg of Microsoft is the architect. He is the architect of TypeScript language. Actually, he is very popular. So Hazelberg is also known for his contribution towards a language C#. He is the architect of a language called C#, which is one of the popular OOP languages of .NET technology. He is the architect of C#. He invented this C# architecture. It is most popular OOP languages in the current generation is C# and Java. C++, C#, Java. These are the primary OOP languages. Huge, large-scale gaming applications and all are now currently built in C#. They are built in C#. So Anders Hazelberg is the person who is a member of Microsoft team. He is the architect of C# language and the TypeScript language. Actually, when they developed this C#, and they are using C# for web. They are having issues with JavaScript. That is the reason what they have done is internally to overcome the web problems, to replace JavaScript, they developed this. And they were internally using it. So that is the reason world doesn't know about TypeScript. Later, when Angular started using that TypeScript as a language, then everybody got an awareness on TypeScript. Then Microsoft also, actually Microsoft is not an open source player. That means they don't make their software open source. But from TypeScript, they started open source. And they made it open source so that everybody can use it. Everybody can use. But entire TypeScript is not open source. Only the TypeScript that you use for web is open source. Rest of TypeScript is internally available with only Microsoft and it cannot be customized. Web related, they made it as open source. And that is what you are going to use for Angular or React like technologies. So, but important is TypeScript directly understandable to browser? It is not directly understandable to browser. So what happens? TypeScript is transcompiled into JavaScript. TypeScript is transcompiled into JavaScript. Final browser have to use JavaScript only. But developers will use TypeScript to utilize all its features and make the programming simplified, right? Already yesterday I explained a scenario. If a developer uses his native language, he can utilize all his features and he can build an application easily. But that is not understandable to browser, that need to be translated. So TypeScript is translated into what? JavaScript. It is translated into JavaScript. So that is the basic thing you should know. This is a simple history of TypeScript. And TypeScript, how to install, how to set up, how to use, we will see how TypeScript actually works. So for before that, you need to understand the TypeScript architecture. How TypeScript actually works. You need to understand the TypeScript architecture. How TypeScript language works. What is the basic architecture of TypeScript? Let's see what actually TypeScript contains. How TypeScript works. So the TypeScript architecture, yeah. So how TypeScript actually works? This is the evolution of TypeScript. So this is the evolution. Actually, first release, now latest, so many are there. First release means they made it available to public in 2012. But they are having TypeScript internally from several years. Public knows about TypeScript from 2012. 2014 onwards, Google started using it in Angular like technology, right? Actually, this is Anders Hazelberg, the creator of .NET technology language called C#. He invented the language C# and he is the architect of TypeScript language. He is the main architect of TypeScript as a language. And actually, how TypeScript works, features I already told you. So This is the basic architecture of TypeScript. That is the basic architecture. What TypeScript contains and how actually TypeScript works, let's understand what is the concept and how it actually works. In the TypeScript architecture, you can observe carefully here. Yeah, you can see from the bottom, TypeScript in the TypeScript architecture, first TypeScript comprises of a core compiler. TypeScript contains a core compiler first. Actually, what is the job of this core compiler is identifying the issues in the code that you have written. That means core compiler is responsible for doing lot of activities. Actually, every language compiler internally has so many things. Generally, when you learn any language like C++, Java and all, you will just learn that language have a compiler. Even JavaScript compiler, who is the JavaScript compiler? JavaScript is compiled in React by whom? What is the JavaScript compiler for React? Babel. Babel is the JavaScript compiler for React, right? Inside the compiler, so many components will be there. All the compiling related activities are managed by this compiler. So TypeScript have a core compiler. You see, this is the TypeScript core compiler. In this core compiler, it contains so many things. Like you see, we have core TS, program TS, scanner TS, parser TS, checker TS, emitter TS. These are all basic inside compiler. Actually, core compiler have a core.ts. What is the core.ts is? Core.ts. What is the purpose of this is? It sets up the environment for running TypeScript program. Core TS will sets up environment for running TypeScript program. To run a TypeScript program, what are the basic libraries required? What are the basic setup required? If the platform is prepared by core.ts. You have program.ts. So it checks the program structure. It checks the program structure. That means, is program having an entry point? Is that entry point is correctly configured? Is the program structure is correct? Structure means where it starts, where it ends, what functions it is configured with. It will verify whether a block started, that block ended or not. Everything about the program structure is verified by program.ts. Program.ts. We have a scanner.ts. Scanner.ts. Actually, what is the job of scanner.ts? Scanner in programming languages. Even C also have this. C, C++, Java, all these technologies internally, their compiler have a scanner. Scanner is responsible for managing input activities. All the input activities are managed by scanner. That is the reason C programming like people, they have scanf. If anybody asked them in interview why the word scanf is used for input, For output, they use printf. For input, they use scanf. Why scanf is used for input? Because scanner is a compiler component which is used for handling input. Scanner is a compiler component. Inside compiler, there is a scanner, and scanner, it is responsible for handling input. We have emitter.ts. It is responsible for handling output. All output activities are managed by emitter. Input activities are managed by scanner. So we have a parser.ts. It is responsible for type conversion. Data type conversions are managed by parser, converting one data type into another. We have a checker.ts. It is responsible for verifying the types. Types are nothing but data types. That means what type memory allocated, what type value is being stored in that memory, that is all verified by this checker. So TypeScript is going to have a core compiler. And what this core compiler will do, if any problem occurs in these all areas, it will report the issues. If any problem occurs in all these, it will report the issues. That means core TS, program TS, scanner TS, these are responsible for monitoring input, output, conversions and all. And when you write a program, if there is any issue in any of these areas, input problems are there, output problems are there, syntax is not correct, you are not properly using the keywords, then automatically these will identify the problems and they will report the problems. A program fails to compile if there is any problem in these areas, right? So every TypeScript have a core compiler. Core TS, program TS, scanner TS, parser TS, and checker and emitter. TS is TypeScript related file. And actually in your Java, it uses a compiler and its language is different. Java compiler is not built in Java. .NET compilers are not built in .NET. Some compilers are built in .NET because .NET is Microsoft's own language. Their operating system handles their own compilings. So technically, language related compilers are built in another language. But TypeScript compiler is built in TypeScript only. Now, if a compiler is built in TypeScript, means it should able to understand, it should able to interact with the operating system directly. So it can operate the operating system, hardware services directly. So that is core compiler. That is called core compiler. So TypeScript language have a core compiler. Another important, TypeScript is having a stand-alone compiler. It is having a stand-alone compiler. This is managed by tsc.ts. Why you have two compilers? That means you are having another compiler in TypeScript. Why you are having two compilers? One compiler will verify whether the code you written is according to the correct syntax or not. That means the logic is correct, the syntaxes are correct, the keywords are correct, it will verify. Once the program is successfully compiled, means TypeScript is successfully compiled, finish. Okay. Is TypeScript understandable to browser? No. Then what should happen? TypeScript need to be translated and converted into JavaScript. This will do that. So standalone compiler will come to picture now. First compiling is successful, then standalone compiler will come. What standalone compiler will do? It will translate the successfully compiled TypeScript program into JavaScript. So we need two compilers, one for identifying problems in the code, another for translating it into JavaScript. So what TSC will do? It is responsible for transcompiling the TypeScript code into JavaScript. It is responsible for transcompiling TypeScript code into JavaScript. TSC.ts. So TypeScript have two compilers. One is a core compiler, another one is the standalone compiler. Next important, TypeScript is having a language service. TypeScript is having a language service. And already we discussed in many occasions, what is a service? While working with hooks and everywhere, we discussed about service. What is a service? I explained the architecture of service. Service is a collection of factories, and factory is a collection of related type of values and functions. Why can't we use factories directly in application? Why can't we use factories directly in application? Because factories use a single call mechanism and service use an singleton mechanism. Right? If you don't remember all these, no use in interviews. React interviews will be about these only. Right? You need to remember all the concepts that you have learned. You are a Java developer, you are a .NET developer or a Python developer in the current generation. They will not give you a job in Java .NET. They will give you a job in only front end. Remember, we already have so many Java developers, we don't want more. We already have so many .NET developers, we don't want more. Our seniors are doing very good job in Java and .NET, we don't want more. We take freshers only to work in the front end. Angular, React, in these places only we keep them. What do you think? You learned Java and you will get a Java job? No. Even they select you as a Java developer, your job will be in the front end only. At least for 1 year minimum. You are not pushed into Java .NET like roles until or unless you have a experience in your project environment. Directly they don't give you a Java job. Even they select you as Java developer, you will not directly work on Java. Majority projects will put you in front end only. For freshers, everyone, UI layer is the first job. Any technology you may learn, UI layer is the first job. That means your first job will be in Angular, React, front end. So they will not give you directly work in Java because already they have seniors. You are nothing, right? You can't manage their applications in Java.NET directly. You are still not capable of that. Even you may get good experience while practicing Java here, but they will not trust you. They don't have a confidence on you. They will put you in the UI, they will test you, and they will get a confidence that, okay, you are good. Then they will push you into your actual role, Java and all. For first few years, at least 1 year minimum, any developer have to work on front end only. That's the reason majority of your interviews will be concentrating on the front end technology. So especially these type of questions are very common because in these days React interviews, they ask these kind of questions very common. So you should remember all these points what you learned. So I give an FAQs now. Topic wise I am giving FAQ. If you get prepared with that, that is enough. You can easily manage. So what is this language services? Language service is responsible for, service means it is a collection of factory. Factory is a collection of functions and values. So a TypeScript program verifies the syntaxes, verifies the keywords, verifies all the program structure from a library. And what is that library? Language service. What language service will do? It provides the library for TypeScript. TypeScript related library is present here. When you write a program, the compiler will verify whether the words, the syntaxes that you are using are from the service or not. If they are not according to the service, then if you used some method which is not in the service, it will show error. It will say that I can't find this method. I can't find this syntax. Syntax is wrong. That means what is this language service? It is managed by services.ts. Services.ts. What is the purpose of this services.ts? So it is responsible. It is responsible for managing a business layer for TypeScript language. It provides a library of functions and values for TypeScript. It provides a library of functions and values for TypeScript. That is actually language service. So TypeScript have a core compiler, TypeScript have a standalone compiler, and TypeScript have a language service. So what is the job of core compiler is verifying whether the code you written is according to the syntax, means according to the standards. And from where it will verify? It will verify by checking everything from services. After successfully compiled, it need to be translated into JavaScript. That is done by whom? Standalone compiler. It translates everything into JavaScript. Next, we are having a server. We have a server.ts. TypeScript is having a server. Server.ts is the server. And you know what is the job of server? What is the job of a server? In computer technologies, server's role is hosting application, handling request, handling response. This is all the job of server. Server job is hosting your application, handling request from the client, sending a response to the client. So TypeScript internally have a server where the TypeScript application is hosted. It is compiled and processed in that server. And you make a request, it will identify the request and send a response. So TypeScript language is internally processing everything from a server. So what is the job of this server is it is responsible for hosting your application and handling request and response. It is responsible for hosting your application and handling request and response. So actually TypeScript programs are compiled and processed on server. TypeScript programs are compiled and processed on server. So internally TypeScript is having a server.ts. Next, in TypeScript, you have a VS shim. Actually, it is shims.ts. We have a shims. Almost these days, all programming technologies have these shimmers. You are not so much capable of knowing about shimmers. Your level is not to know about them. So your level is just to understand a basic programming process. Shimmers are not at your level. It's very complex. Even Java, C++ also have shimmers, but you don't have that much knowledge on them. You don't need also. So actually, shimmers are present in all majority programming languages, and you don't need to know about them, and it's not necessary for you because that's not your level. So that is very complex. It's very complicated also. Actually, shimmer means, I will tell one example. Can a Java program run across various operating systems? Is it cross-platform? It is cross-platform. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, all these claim that they are cross-platform. Cross-platform means what? It can run on any operating system service. Do you know that is because of shim? Because of shim. If any software technology claims that they are cross-platform, that means it can run on all operating systems. That is because of shim. So nobody will teach you about that because that's not required for your level. Even some senior people also don't know because they also don't need to know. This is for the people who build languages. People who are responsible for building language library, they know these. Others, even they have experience also, they don't have an idea of shimmers. Actually, you know, suppose Java shims library is there. You see, Java have a shim library. you can see Java is having a shim library. Actually, this is a shim library. Java have a shim library. You can see shim's frameworks, shim's implementation will be there. In Java technologies, .NET technology, these shims will be there. You will never learn about that because you don't need that, right? So if you have any time, you can explore it, you can know about it, but not required. Even senior people also may not be aware of that because they don't need that. So because their level is not about shims. That means what is the meaning of learning Java? You are learning Java means what? You are learning a language which is already built by somebody. You know, you are learning a language which is already built by somebody. Which is already built by somebody, you are just learning it. And by learning that language, we are building some apps. And the language is built by somebody. And people who built that language, such people needs this knowledge. So learning Java means you are not learning how to design Java. You are learning how to use Java. That means in Java, there are ready-made classes. In .NET, there are ready-made classes. You are using those classes and you are building an app. Who built those classes? A developer have to build them. And people who build them, they know about this. Shim's libraries are for them actually. So what is the point about shim is, actually there is a background concept for this. For example, suppose we have a shrimp versus prawn. You see, suppose I will show you some images. Yeah. Actually, the term taken from them, you can see this is the shrimp versus prawn. That means we have shrimps and we have prawns. You know the difference between shrimp and prawn? They both look same. They both look same. Do you know the difference between them? No. You just eat them. Huh? Do you know the difference between them? The difference is shrimp is gender neutral. Neither male or female. Shrimps are gender neutral. Gender neutral. They are neither male or female. They look both same, similar. A prawn and shrimp both look same. But shrimp is different. Shrimp means gender neutral. In programming language, they took the term from a shrimp. Shrimp means platform neutral. That means it can make your program neutral to platform so that it can run on every platform. If any technology claims that it is platform neutral, cross-platform, that is because of shims. Java have shims library, .NET have shims library, Python, PHP, all technologies who claim that they are cross-platform, they need to be cross-platform because of shims. This is the library used for that. So TypeScript is also having this means what? Means what? TypeScript is also having a shims library. By seeing this, developer can understand that it is also cross-platform. It can run on every operating system. A developer, if he knows what is in the compiling system, he can easily understand the abilities of the language. So by seeing a shim library in any technology, developers know that, okay, this is cross-platform. So TypeScript is also cross-platform. So what is shim? It is responsible for making TypeScript, for making TypeScript, cross-platform. So it is responsible for making TypeScript cross-platform. So what it does is it generates managed code. It generates managed code. And in software programming, what is managed code? In programming, you have unmanaged code, managed code. Unmanaged code is platform dependent code, and managed code is platform independent code. In any software programming, managed and unmanaged codes are present. Unmanaged code is the code which is platform dependent. You run on Java, on Windows, it will generate the code native for Windows, and it can run only on Windows. Then such code is called as what? Unmanaged. If it generates a managed code, then it can run on every operating system. So unmanaged code is the code understandable to certain operating system. Managed code is the code which is responsible for understanding. It is understandable to all operating system services. That is the reason you have an managed service also. We have a managed language service. Managed language service, managed language service. What is difference is language service is platform dependent, and managed language service is platform independent. That means TypeScript can be platform dependent, it can be platform independent. It can make applications Android specific, iOS specific. It can make applications cross-platform also. It can make application in such a way that it can run on any operating system service. That is managed language service. So you have another one, that is managed language service. Managed language service. That is managed language service is that. What is managed language service? It refers to the managed library. It refers to the managed library. A managed library is cross-platform library. It is cross-platform library. Actually, TypeScript uses these terms because TypeScript is a Microsoft language. That means you are learning Angular, React means you are learning a language and a technology supported by two major players in the world. Angular belongs to whom? Google. And the language Angular uses belongs to whom? Microsoft. React belongs to whom? Meta community. Meta is Facebook, right? And TypeScript belongs to Microsoft. That means Microsoft and Meta, Microsoft and Google, these are the popular collaborations you are using. That is the reason these are popular in the world, because of the collaboration with whom they are working. But if anybody asks what is alternative of Angular, React, so many are there. There are so many. There are so many which are more powerful than them. But these are popular because of the background. So managed language service is this. Actually, you don't need that, but I will just show you where you can see this. Okay. I will just show you the compiling process actually. Generally, this is the process how Microsoft compiles their technologies. This is the Microsoft compiling process actually. That is the Microsoft compiling process. That means you write a program. When you write a program, that program is translated by compiler and it will generate an unmanaged code. Unmanaged code means the code understandable to operating system and the code is not understandable to other operating system. On which operating system you compiled, the code generated for that operating system. But in the managed code, what is managed code? It will generate the code in such a way that it is understandable to every operating system. All operating systems can understand the code. It generates the code into a native code which is understandable to everyone. This is the compiling basic architectural model used by Microsoft Technologies, and you are learning a language belongs to Microsoft. And Microsoft Technologies follow this architecture in compiling. That's a basic thing. Your TypeScript also follows similar kind of architecture. So this is just a point how the compile act to make you understand what is unmanaged and what is managed. So managed code library is this one. This is the TypeScript architecture. So how TypeScript is going to work? So how TypeScript is translated, how TypeScript interacts, how TypeScript works, right? I hope you are clear. So what are the main components of TypeScript? The core compiler, the standalone compiler, language service, TypeScript server, shimmers, managed code library. Actually, in the architecture, you see there is an editor also, but editor is general, means TypeScript is compatible with all editors like VS Code or Edit Plus. Anywhere you can use this language. That means it is simply showing that it can run on any editor. Any editor can be used with TypeScript, right? So, but that is the reason majority of people are using VS Code. Why? VS Code belongs to whom? Microsoft. TypeScript also belongs to Microsoft. So both belongs to same technology. That is the reason Java means Java, .NET, all Python, all these people who are going to build user interface with React, Angular, they prefer using VS Code because in future they have to work with a language of Microsoft. And VS Code is Microsoft editor, so it will provide better help than anybody else in the world. Right? So TypeScript belongs to Microsoft, VS Code belongs to Microsoft. So VS Code is the only editor which provides a better help for your UI technologies which are using TypeScript as language. So technically, this is the TypeScript architecture. Now, how to use TypeScript, how to run TypeScript, we will see. For that, first we have to learn setup environment for TypeScript. Remember, directly we are not using TypeScript in React. First, we are learning how to use TypeScript. First, we will learn TypeScript language. Then we will implement this knowledge in React. So we are not directly learning TypeScript in React. We are learning TypeScript individually first. So for that, what you have to do is install TypeScript for your PC. How to install TypeScript? From the command prompt npm install globally TypeScript. This is the command you have to run. npm install globally TypeScript. Globally, G is globally TypeScript. If you don't do this, if you don't use G, then it will install TypeScript only in this drive. Then what should happen? All your projects must be in that drive. But globally means from any place you can use, you can access it. So make it global, right? So open your command prompt. Anywhere you open your command prompt, and here you run the command npm install, what is it? Globally what? TypeScript that we have to install. Once TypeScript is installed globally, so here it is showing me some warning, not warning, it is just a notice that Node.js has been updated. That means it's just saying that Node.js have latest release, please update. That doesn't matter for us because already we have installed Node.js and it doesn't require. We don't need that. Later we can update. But TypeScript is installed. How to verify TypeScript? After installing TypeScript, to verify whether TypeScript is working or not, you have to run tsc-v. TSC is the TypeScript transcompiler. Transcompiler version, and version is 5.8. That is the latest version of TypeScript, but companies are still using 4. TypeScript 4 is being used by companies. Even your Angular React also uses 4 only. Your Angular React also internally uses TypeScript 4 only. But latest version of TypeScript is 5. I told you TypeScript is not designed for Angular React. They use TypeScript for building apps separately. So TypeScript actual version is 5, latest, that is 5.8.2. But companies use React Angular, their TypeScript version still it is 4, right? So to check the version of TypeScript, you have to just run tsc-v. And latest up to now is 5.8.2. That is the latest. So here the TypeScript version is that. Now let's see, TypeScript is installed. Let's see how to create a simple app and practice TypeScript. So let's see how do we do that. So what you do is first create a folder for your practice. So I will create a folder in my D drive and I will use TypeScript. TypeScript is the folder name I am giving. You can give anything, doesn't matter. So first what you do, create a new folder for practicing, we say for TypeScript simply. We are practicing TypeScript and that is the folder I created. Then what you have to do, open folder in Visual Studio Code. We have to open folder in Visual Studio Code. After that, after opening folder in Visual Studio Code, how to set up for TypeScript as a language. Obviously, you need 2 files. What we have to do, open terminal and run the following commands. What are the commands? One is npm init y. So what is this? This is for generating package JSON. Already we know this. Another one, tsc init, TypeScript initialization. So tsc init and npm init y. So what is the point here is, this is going to generate which one? Package dot what? JSON. This is going to generate tsconfig.json. tsconfig.json. So this is TypeScript configuration file. That is the TypeScript configuration file. When you are using TypeScript in any project, this file will come. That is mandatory. That means you are developing Angular with TypeScript, React with TypeScript, Vue with TypeScript, any technology with TypeScript, this file will be there. And what is the job of this file? Configuring TypeScript. That means what? Setting the rules of TypeScript, setting the settings for TypeScript. All this is done in this file. Means what? I told you that TypeScript is translated into JavaScript. TypeScript current which version? 5.8. It is translated into JavaScript. Which version JavaScript? What is JavaScript latest version? ES15 is the JavaScript latest version. But it will not translate into ES15. It will translate into ES5 or ES6. Then we have to set up that. That means I want TypeScript to translate into ES6 or ES7 or ES8 or ES15 or ES next. We need to tell that. All that settings are defined in tsconfig. That means when you are using TypeScript as a language for every project, this file will come, and this is the location where we set the settings for TypeScript. Actually, from the latest version, only this file is coming. In old version, they used to have another file called tslint.json. tslint.json, this is obsolete now. Obsolete means no longer in use. It is deprecated now. But even when you go to projects, when you go to MNCs everywhere in projects, they may be developing and working on a project 5 years back design, 10 years back design. You have to work in those projects only. In that case, you will find that their projects are having one more file extra, tslint.json. But in the new projects, you will not find, because the new version has removed that file, and instead of tslint and its settings also now added into tsconfig. Earlier, every TypeScript project used to have two files, but now it is synchronized, it is optimized to only one file. What is that file? tsconfig.json. But if you are working on very old projects in companies, you will see two files, tslint and tsconfig. Now both settings are combined into one file, and that is tsconfig. So what I have to do now? Open Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, open the folder. I am opening the folder. The folder is what? It is in D drive. TypeScript is the folder. And as of now, this folder is empty. Open the terminal. What is the command? npm init y. It will generate package.json file. Package.json is created. We will run another one, tsc init. TypeScript init is nothing but hyphen init. I am missing hyphen. Yeah, hyphen is missing. tsc hyphen init. Right. Now this is going to do what? It is going to generate the tsconfig. You see, another file is created. Another file is created, tsconfig. Actually, what is package.json? It is the metadata of your project. tsconfig contains rules of TypeScript. And you see, there are so many rules. And all rules are commented. Which rule you want, you can enable them. And you see in that target is ES 2016. Means ES 2016 means it is using JavaScript ES6 version. ES6 is 2016. 2024 version is ES15. ES15 is 2024 version. ES16 means 2016 means ES6. ES 2015 means ES5. That means it is using JavaScript ES6 version. ES6 version. That is the stable version used in companies, as I already told you. And remember, I told you now, we need a module system. And see the module system, it is using CommonJS. We already discussed about module system in the beginning when we created project our own, right? In React, I showed you UMD, AMD module systems. CommonJS is the module system. And it has a lot of other settings which we don't need to set up now. Later, when you are using TypeScript with React, then these settings will enable. And some settings will set the values. We have to make some changes in them if necessary. This is TypeScript configuration file. Once it is there, now your project is ready to use TypeScript. And how to add TypeScript files? So add a new TypeScript file into project. And what is it? Suppose index.ts. We can add a new, any name you can give. Index.ts. So index.ts we are using. Index.ts is the file. Here you have to write your TypeScript logic. Means all the TypeScript code you have to write. And actually TypeScript is superset to JavaScript. That means all JavaScript concept will work in TypeScript. But TypeScript has some new features. TypeScript have new features which you have to learn. As of now, temporarily, suppose I am using console.log. I am using welcome to TypeScript. Now, how to compile and run this? To compile and run this, what we have to do? Go to terminal, open in terminal. In the terminal, what we have to do? We have to run. We have to transcompile now. tsc index.ts. What it is going to do is, we have index.ts, it will generate index.js. It will generate index.js. That means automatically it will translate your TypeScript code, but actually there is nothing to translate now because JavaScript also understands console log and we are using same because we haven't learned, we will learn the language. Now a JavaScript file is created and it is containing the code. Now which file we have to run? Not TypeScript file, we have to run JavaScript file. And JavaScript file you can link to any HTML page or directly you can run. How to run JavaScript files? We need a node compiler. Node index.what.js. By using a node compiler, you can compile the JavaScript files and hit enter, it will show the result. That means it is showing the result. Welcome to TypeScript. But actually we haven't learned any TypeScript. I just used a JavaScript console method. Now we need to learn TypeScript language. How it is different from JavaScript. What is new in TypeScript we need to learn. So, but you can just try a sample program. In this, what you done? Console.log. So welcome to what? TypeScript, something you written. After that, what you have to do? tsc index.what.ts. What this will do? It generates index.what.js. Then we have to compile it, run it. How to run it? Node index.what.js. It runs index.js file, program, you can say. That is how we need to do. Now, what is the major part here is you have to learn TypeScript language. We need to learn the TypeScript language. That means what is difference between JavaScript and TypeScript we have to learn. That means variables, data types, operators, statements, functions. OOP concepts, what is new, what is different here, that we need to know. That we will see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss the language of TypeScript. That means variables, data types, how they are different, what is difference between JavaScript and TypeScript, you will understand. And this knowledge we have to implement in our React. First you learn language, then you will implement in React. Then tomorrow we'll continue. Tomorrow's session, we will discuss about the TypeScript language. Okay.